Do you wait for everything to be perfect and lined up straight before you make a choice? How hard are you trying to get everything in your life right? What if jumping in and getting messy is one of the ways to find out what works for you? Discover how being willing to mess up can create the phenomenal life you truly desire. Get ready to quit judging and start embracing all of your messy adventures. Now, here's your host, self-declared messy living expert, Petrina Fava.
Hello, how are you? Welcome to Messy Adventures in Living. I am your host, Petrina Fava. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hitting play. Thanks for being here if you're here while we're recording today. We have a really cool show today. It's called, Do You Like It Hard? So before we get into that topic, let me tell you a little bit about Messy Adventures in Living and about me. Messy Adventures in Living is a show where we talk about jumping into your life and making choices rather than stressing and waiting and planning and getting all your perfect little ducks in a row, which ends up not to be living at all. So that's the energy of this show, and that's the kinds of things that we look at and the topics we play with. We will be using some tools from a modality called Access Consciousness. If you have questions about it, you can check out accessconsciousness.com. I am an Access Consciousness Bars and Body Process Facilitator. I learned this modality about 6 years ago and have been using the tools of Access to create my life as greater and to make changes in places where I was not having fun. And they are easy, they are potent, and they are very fun. I am also a registered nurse here in Toronto. I'm a pediatric nurse, and I have been for about 19 years. I'm a mom of 3 kids. They are awesome. They are 12. I can't even remember how old they are anymore. 12, 9, and 5. I'm an author in 3 great books. They are called Creations, Conscious Conception, Creations, Conscious Fertility, Conception, Pregnancy, and Birth. I always forget what order those things happen in. The other book I have contributed in is called Possibilities in Parenting, and my most recent one is The Power of Releasing Judgment, all of which you can find on my website or at Amazon.com. If you would like to connect with me after listening to the show, if you have questions about this topic or any topic at all, you can reach me at Petrina at petrinafava.com. All right, so what is our topic for today? So, do you like it hard? Do you? Is it not as good if it comes easily? Have you subscribed to the idea that the end result is sweeter if getting there was hard work? And what's showing up in your world because of this belief? How much do we glorify struggle and effort? Can the universe give you the ease you're asking for if you believe that hard is valuable? And are you even willing to ask for ease? What if life didn't have to be hard? So where did all of this come from? Where do we start believing that life is hard? Well, that's not really easy. It's not really hard, It's not really hard to find all the places where we learn that life is hard because it's pretty much entrenched in every ounce of air around us, pretty much. This reality totally glorifies hard work and and struggle, and it is ingrained into us from the moment we are born, probably before we are born. I like to do this thing where when I create a radio show topic, I like to go to the internet and find quotes about the topic that I'm going to be talking about, because that gives me a great idea of all the wonderful points of view that are floating around out there that contribute to these things. So that's what I've done. But, before we look at those, let's look at a tool from this modality called Access Consciousness, a couple of them, because I really would like to use them during this show. There's a lot of energy on this topic. So one of them is a question that goes, who does this belong to? And the idea is that we pick up beliefs, we learn things, we live by things that feel like ours, but they never were ours to start with. We bought them from someone, we bought them from something. And it's also based on this idea that we are actually quite psychic and aware. All of us are. Everyone has the ability to pick up on the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of other people. And we don't really know that this is what we're doing, and we're never taught that we're doing this. And so when we have thoughts and we have beliefs and we have feelings, we own them and we believe that they're ours, and then we start to create our lives based on them. So if you can acknowledge that actually you are extremely aware of everything around you and everyone around you, and if you can acknowledge that you are aware of other people's thoughts, or at least just entertain the idea, if this sounds crazy to you, just, for the sake of argument, you could just entertain the idea that you are very psychic and you're actually reading everybody else's thoughts. Think of all the thoughts that you're thinking and start wondering if those are really yours. So we're going to use that tool a lot during this show. The other one I wanted to talk about is the truth will make you feel light and a lie will make you feel heavy. So the idea is that when something is true for you, because what does the truth mean? Is there really one truth? The truth will make you feel light. So it'll make you feel light in your body, or just light, whatever that is for you. I'm not even going to explain it because it's not explainable. And a lie will make you feel heavy. So have you ever heard something and your whole body just kind of like, bleh, or makes you want to throw up, or you get a heavy feeling in your stomach? Again, I'm not going to over-explain it. The truth will make you feel light, and a lie will make you feel heavy. So as we go through our show today, use those tools and see what's light for you and see what's heavy for you. And ask yourself, is this true for me? Okay. So what are some beliefs or some ideas or some sayings or some things that people say that have led us to believe, or that have led us to value hard, to like it hard? Why do we like it hard in this reality? Well, generally we have subscribed to the idea that nothing worth having comes easy, right? If it's worth having, it's got to be hard. Anything that's easy is really just this little thing over here that's not really that important, or that's not really valuable. Katharine Hepburn, actually, a very famous woman, said, this is a famous quote by Katharine Hepburn, "Life is hard. After all, it kills you." Life is hard. After all, it kills you. Okay, wow. Thanks, Katharine Hepburn. I thought I liked you. So, yeah, and, there was another quote by another famous person. What's his name? I forgot now. Some martial arts guy. Sorry. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Wow. Well, so what's life? Is life something to endure? Is that what we think? Life is something we have to endure. So we should pray for the strength to endure a difficult life. So much there. There's so much there. What have we decided is difficult? So is life meant to be endured, or is life meant to be enjoyed? What's lighter for you? What are the things that we've decided are hard in life? What are some things? What do you guys know? What do you think? What do you think is hard in life? Well, relationships are hard, right? There's a whole bunch of points of view that, relationships are not easy. They're just not easy. Relationships are hard. Marriage is hard. Wow, marriage is hard. Do you know how much I have been told that in my life from my family and from everyone around me? Marriage is hard work. It's hard work, but it's worth it if you stick it out. It's hard work, but that's just the way it is. It's all nice and sweet and fun in the beginning, but it gets to be hard work. Parenting is a big one. Yes, parenting is a big one. Parenting is hard, but it's so worth it because it's beautiful. Yes, We totally, the whole mommy thing. I mean, that's a whole show, and I think I've probably talked about this on a show. Um, we value hard in parenting, man, big time, because if it's not hard, then you're not doing it right. Actually, that is a quote from Betty Davis. If you have never been hated by your child, you have never been a parent. Thanks, Betty Davis. If you have never been hated by your child, you have never been a parent. So what happens when you have had ease in parenting and you hear something like that? Does it make you feel like a crappy parent? You're like, what's going on? I must not be a good parent because my kid doesn't hate me. Again, use your tool, light and heavy, as I'm reading some of these quotes. What's true for you? What's true for you? Is that true? If you've never been hated by your child, you've never been a parent. Yeah. Well, sucks to be you. Rhonda's in the chat room. I can laugh now and say to myself, sucks to be you. Exactly. I like to have ease too. What else? What else is hard? Work. Work is hard. We've decided that work is hard. Going to work sucks, man. Going to work sucks. It's hard to earn a paycheck. Really? It actually doesn't have to be. I recently changed jobs. I have been working on the same unit at the hospital for the last almost 19 years. I enjoyed it very much. I started working there right after I graduated. It was a great place to work. The people I worked with were amazing. Because we work shift work, I work with different people every time I went to work. It was always a new bunch of staff. I got to meet amazing families. It was a medical specialties unit with 6 different services. So I was learning about illnesses and things. I was learning about the body in all kinds of ways, and it was great, and I loved it. But about 5 years ago, I started to really have the awareness that I needed a change, and I was not happy going to work. Going to work was hard, and I was not happy. Now, I'm 42, and I've been there for 19 years, and I have never worked anywhere else. I graduated, and I started working there right off the hop. And so I had some sneaky thoughts that were saying things like, wow, like you've been here almost 19 years. It's going to be really hard to start something new. Probably nobody wants to hire you. You haven't, had a range of experience, and you're 42 years old. Like, really, is this the time to start a new job? And I said to those thoughts, hi thoughts, yeah, I see you. Are those mine? No. So what I did was I started to keep my awareness open for what I would like to have in my life and the kind of energy I would like to be in while I was at work. And after a few years, something awesome showed up, and I applied, and I got the job, and I've been there for a month and a little bit, and I am very happy going to work. I'm excited. I wake up excited. I'm learning something new. I have a new skill. I'm working with new people. I'm seeing new kids. Work doesn't have to be hard. It does not have to be hard. It's not true. It's basically just a lie that we've bought. So let's go to a break. And when we come back, we are going to continue looking at what we've decided is hard and why all of those things are lies and what we can do to change it. So you're listening to Do You Like It Hard? On Messy Adventures in Living, and I'm your host, Petrina Fava. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Do you wait until all the traffic lights are green before you get in your car? Of course you don't. Are you waiting until you have everything perfect to begin living? Most of us have learned not to take any steps until we have all the information to make the right choice. What if the opposite is true? What if it's choice that creates awareness? Are you willing to make lots of messy choices so you can begin to see the possibilities that you didn't even think existed? Listen for Messy Adventures in Living radio show with self-declared messy living expert Petrina Fava every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific on A2Zen.fm. How much more expansive would your life be if you were willing to get messy with your choices?
Do you know a child who is frustrated and disruptive in class? Who struggles to connect? Who's bright but still not making the grade? Have you ever wished that there were a kinder, gentler way to support children with difficulties in school or at home? Many children find access bars is benefiting them greatly. A study is being conducted to document findings in an effort to assist kids everywhere with these life-changing benefits. Will you donate and help to assist kids thrive? Visit www.accessyourbrilliance.com to support our study. What else is possible for kids now more than ever?
You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living with Petrina Fava. To participate in today's show, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 033-0001-0625. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also ask questions or comment by email by sending to Petrina at petrinafava.com. Now, here's Petrina with more Messy Adventures.
Welcome back to Messy Adventures in Living. I'm your host, Petrina Fava. Today, our show is Do You Like It Hard? We are talking about struggle, difficulty, effort, and all the crap that we have bought that this stuff is true and that's what life is about, that life is hard. And is that really what you would like? I just coming back from break, I just remembered something. If you heard one of the commercials is about something called the bars, which is one of the hands-on modalities in this, one of the hands-on processes in this modality called access consciousness. And what it is 32 points in the head that when they are touched by the practitioner, such as myself, you can release years and years and years and lifetimes of limitations, points of view, general crap that's going on in your body and in your life, just by touching these points. That's all. Just by touching them. It's really easy. This fits in here because I have every year a couple of other facilitators and myself, we participate in like a fest of what's it called, one of those health fests where we have a table and we offer bars to people. And this particular one is called Vegan Fest. And so a lot of people who are interested in consciousness come to this place, and there are other modalities here as well, Reiki and other types of modalities. And so people come over to our table and we tell them what the bars is, and we say, we touch the points. The points are places where we hold limitations about certain areas of our life, right? Money, body, creativity. And just by touching them, it activates, the bar, and you touch them and you release all of the junk that's stored there. And they go, that's it? And I go, yeah. And it's like, oh, and then they're like, well, that's too easy. It can't possibly be that easy. You know what? It can actually be that easy, and bars really is that easy. So, it just leads me to another part of life that we've decided is hard, and that is spirituality or consciousness or growth, spiritual growth, or getting over things or getting through the hard things that have happened to us in our life. So how much do we believe that if we've had, in order to have any kind of spiritual growth, it has to be hard. The process has to be hard. We have to go back and relive it and get through it and hash out why it happened and why we responded this way. And we have to go and meet the person who perpetrated some wrongness and tell them they're forgiven. And is it really true? Do we really have to do that? And is any of that light for you? Really, is it possible to just look at something and let it go? It does not have to be hard. How much have we decided that spirituality is hard? I mean, look at Catholicism. Jesus died by crucifixion. It was hard for him to obtain, the afterlife. It was hard. He had to endure so much hardship in order for him to then rise from the dead. And so how much has that been ingrained in us from the very beginning? How much has religion perpetrated the idea that life is hard and that suffering is valuable? And that's one of the other reasons that, oftentimes we've decided that even though we might ask for ease, somewhere we believe that hard is valuable, because in the end you get something. You get something in the end. You get heaven. You get redemption. You get rewarded. Life is hard, but there's a reward at the end. And there's a reward because it's hard. And the harder of a life you've had, the greater the reward in the end. Is this really true? And if you're asking for ease, so if you are at least willing to ask for ease, and then it's not showing up, is it because you have all these underlying beliefs, even if you kind of only half believe them? So if you think you want ease and you're asking the universe to show you ease, but you have all this crap underneath, can you really receive it? So let's clear some of this. So all the places that you are asking for ease while running underlying belief systems about the value of suffering, will you please destroy and uncreate all of that? Right, wrong, good and bad. Pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. That is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. You can find information about it at theclearingstatement.com. It's basically a collection of words that have a very long explanation that just clears the energy. So when we talk about something and a bunch of energy comes up, that clearing statement, when you say it, just clears the energy on it and gets rid of it for you. So what have you decided hard means? What have you decided hard means? Is change uncomfortable? And have you labeled change, that discomfort that you experience with change, have you labeled that hard? And if you didn't do that, what could be different? So, resisting change is something that we've also learned in this reality. I mean, we go around and we want things to stay the same. We want them to stay amazing. When something's amazing, we want it to stay amazing. And we don't consider the possibility that if it changes, it might actually become more amazing. So change is often uncomfortable. And how much have we labeled that discomfort with change a hard life? So what have you decided hard is that it actually isn't? And if you could lower your barriers and be willing to be uncomfortable and acknowledge that something is changing, how much more ease and space could that create for you and your body? So everything that is, everywhere you have misidentified and misapplied the discomfort that comes with change as a hard life, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9, shorts, boys, and beyonds. I found a quote that said, life is hard but not impossible. And with it was a little image of a flower, a beautiful yellow flower poking through an enormous amount of concrete. And the quote was, life is hard but not impossible. And I always look at animals and plants when I have, I look at them and I'm interested in them because they have no point of view about anything. Sometimes people think, well, plants and animals are stupider, is that a word? Or dumber than people because they don't have, evolved brains. And I often question that point of view. Because I tell you, if you look at animals and you look at nature, sometimes I really think that not having a brain is an enormous advantage because sometimes these brains of ours get us in a lot of trouble. So if you think about this image of a flower pushing through cement, if that was a person, can you imagine the drama around that we would be doing? Can you imagine the drama a person would be doing around pushing through, oh my God, why did God do this to me? Why did I have to be born in New York City, concrete jungle? Like, why couldn't I be born in a nice, soft, wet, boggy, lush piece of land in Africa? Why did God give me this life? I had to be born in New York concrete. I have to struggle so hard to push through the concrete. Like, really? Have you ever heard a flower do that? No, because nature doesn't have a point of view. And so, if something is uncomfortable, it doesn't mean it's impossible. Nature just grows. And nature is tenacious, and it persists, and it will find a way around. It will find a way around the concrete and find the easy path and find the crack and poke its beautiful self out. So what would happen if you didn't have a point of view about all the things that you've decided are hard in your life? Could not having a point of view about it actually create more ease? Of course. So how do you do that? Well, here's another little tool. It's called Interesting Point of View. So every time you have a thought or a feeling or an emotion, you can say to yourself, well, that's an interesting point of view that I have that point of view. That's all. It's just a way to acknowledge that what you are thinking is just interesting and that it's not necessarily the truth. Alrighty, what else we got going on here? So, what other interesting ideas do we have about life being hard? What else is hard? School is hard. Death is definitely hard. What is it about death that we have decided is really hard? It's hard when our family members and our friends die. Grief is hard. What could be a reason that we like this to be hard? Well, what happens when you lose someone and you're not sad? Has that ever happened to you? What do you feel like? What do you feel like? What thoughts are in your head when you have not been sad around the death of someone? Does it mean you're a bad person? Does it mean you didn't really love them? Does it mean you're a cold-hearted snake? How much do we value enormous senses of grief around death? Because in this reality, that shows that you really love this person and that you really, really are going to miss them. So often there's so many ideas around grief and how the weight of that loss never goes away. And that, you can never really get over the death of your spouse or the death of your child or the death of your friend. There's lots of ideas about, life goes on, but I'll never get over this. And how much do we do that to prove how much we love this person and to prove how invested we were as a friend or how invested we were as a spouse? What if it didn't have to be that way? And what if it's not true that the more you grieve, the more you love that person? What if letting people go is an enormous act of kindness? What if letting go of grief is an enormous act of kindness as well? So let's take a quick break and come back and talk more about Do You Like It Hard? Right here on Messy Adventures in Living. Talk to you in a minute.
Do you wait until all the traffic lights are green before you get in your car? Of course you don't. Are you waiting until you have everything perfect to begin living? Most of us have learned not to take any steps until we have all the information to make the right choice. What if the opposite is true? What if it's choice that creates awareness? Are you willing to make lots of messy choices so you can begin to see the possibilities that you didn't even think existed? Listen for Messy Adventures in Living radio show with self-declared messy living expert Petrina Fava every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific on A2Zen.fm. How much more expansive would your life be if you were willing to get messy with your choices?
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions? Or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living with Petrina Fava. To participate in today's show, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 033-0001-0625. Or you can Skype us at A2Zen.fm. You can also ask questions or comment by email by sending to Petrina at petrinafava.com. Now, here's Petrina with more Messy Adventures.
Hey, welcome back to Messy Adventures in Living. I'm your host, Petrina Fava. Today we're talking about, do you like it hard? And all the ways we value suffering and hardship in this world, and what the hell else is possible with that. So, what are some things that we've decided are hard in this reality? Well, pretty much everything. Parenting, relationships, work, death. Death is definitely hard. Not. Being an adult in general is hard. So what are the reasons? Why do we do this shit? What are all the beliefs that we have underlying, perpetrating this point of view? And what is the havoc that is being wreaked upon our lives because of it, instead of having ease and fun and joy? Do you believe in lessons? Do you believe that you need lessons in life, that you learn more from pain and from suffering than you possibly can from pleasure? Do you believe that pleasure or fun and joy don't teach you anything, but actually your lessons in life come from pain and suffering and hurting? And what if that's not true? Because how much does joy create, and how much does fun create? There's an idea in Access that, a tool in Access that goes, choice creates awareness. And to me, this is, much more effective and much more true for me than I need lessons. I can choose and then have awareness. So I can make a choice and then have the awareness of whether or not that worked or didn't work, and have the awareness of what that created, and then I can choose something else. And I can choose again, and I can choose again, and choose something different, or choose the same thing. Choice creates awareness, not lessons. Lessons don't create awareness. They really don't, especially not painful lessons. We don't have to have painful lessons in order to learn or to grow spiritually. I would really challenge this point of view. And if this is a point of view that you grew up with, you can use this tool. Interesting point of view that I have this point of view. And what is this point of view creating? If your point of view creates your reality, and your point of view is that you require hard lessons create the most spiritual growth, how many hard lessons are you inviting into your life? And is that really what you desire? And can you wish for ease while also believing that you need to have hard lessons in your life in order for you to learn something, or to grow more spiritually, or to have wisdom at the end of your life? hard work is similar to this. School comes to mind. How much have we bought the idea that hard work is what creates something? Hard work, studying, pushing through. When I think about how much I studied through university and like read things that were so boring that I wasn't retaining anyways, like you have to push through school in order to get to the end. You have to study hard in order to know the answers. And again, what if this is not true? What is an easier way? What if actually having joy is what creates? When I was writing for my books, it was ease for me, and it was joy because it was something that I loved doing, and that created, ease and joy completely created my books, not hard work at all. And even creating that, showing up in my life, was total ease. And as I mentioned on a previous show, actually a show that I did last week, which would have been June 3rd, I think. I don't know. I always knew that I wanted to write, and it kind of just landed in my lap. I posted something on Facebook, and the editor contacted me and said, "Would you like to write in this book?" And I said yes, and so I did. And I submitted my chapter, and then the publisher and the editor did everything else. And then, I bought the book, and it came in the mail, and there I had it. And total ease. And when I went to have a booth at an author's event, and people were talking about the enormous struggle that they had self-publishing, I'm standing there going, I didn't have any of that. And they asked me, who did you publish with, and how long did it take you, and all of this. And I was like, actually, it was really easy. I kind of just did it like this, and somebody else did all the work, and it was easy. And they looked at me like, oh, well, that's not valuable, because I hadn't struggled. And so where have we decided that hard work is what creates? And what if that's not true? What if joy and fun and play creates? Work hard, play hard in the chat rooms. Yes, work hard, play hard. That's another interesting point of view that's perpetrated by this reality for sure. Yes, Rhonda in the chat room, this is what happens when I tell people about my commercial gig. It was way too easy for those struggling actors. Yeah, the point of view that if you're an artist, you're a starving artist, and you have to struggle, that being an artist is struggle. That is a huge, huge point of view. Creativity is hard. It's a struggle. All interesting points of view. What if that's not true? Another interesting point of view about hard is that it makes you stronger. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And also religion is in here too. More religion perpetrating struggle. God gives you suffering, because the idea that God gives you suffering because he knows you can handle it. So what happens when you have an easy life and you look around and you're like, oh, God must not like me because I have everything easy. I've actually often had that thought when I've heard people say, like, oh, God gives you only what you can handle. So all this horrible suffering in your life, it's because you're strong and you can handle it. And all those people over there with easy lives, well, they're just not valuable because they're not strong. Money just falls into their lap and they're just nothing. They're like little ants on the ground, but not you, because you have lots of suffering, and so you are great in the eyes of God. And everywhere you have bought that crock of shit, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. What does strong even mean anyways? What is strong and weak? Such polarities. What if you didn't have to have strong and weak? What if you could have moments of vulnerability, which can create? And what if you can have moments of potency, which also can create? It's different, right? Can you perceive the difference in those energies, like strong and weak, and then vulnerability and potency? So what if we misidentified as strong? That's actually, strong strength, in the sense that, like, you can take suffering. What if we misidentified and misapplied? Where have we misidentified and misapplied that? And Instead, what if we could acknowledge where we are potent and where we have potency and tenacity and the willingness to never give up, rather than strength that comes from enduring suffering. And everywhere we've mixed all of that up and not been willing to acknowledge where we are potent, and that's what creates. Can we destroy and uncreate all that? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyond. So would you be willing to drop the idea that you have to be strong and push through life and endure suffering, and rather acknowledge that you have potency and that you are potent, and that with that potency you can create your life rather than endure it? And everything that does not allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive all that, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyond. Wow. That was cool. Yeah. Would you be willing to create your life versus endure it? Absolutely. What if life was meant to be enjoyed and meant to be created rather than endured? What else? What other kinds of points of view? Here's another one that this was a quote, and I didn't catch who it was written by. I'm thankful for struggle because without it, I wouldn't have stumbled across my strengths. Here we go with the strength thing again. I'm thankful for my struggle because without it, I wouldn't have stumbled across my strengths. Wow, you know what you can do? You can acknowledge your strengths. Why do we have to wait for struggle to stumble upon them? And are we really that blind to our strengths, or are we just unwilling to acknowledge them? I found that fascinating. I had never heard that before. And I thought, yeah, I guess I have heard that before. Wow, I didn't realize I was so strong. I've actually heard this from parents whose children that I work with in the hospital. It's like, wow, I would have never known that I could be this strong. Or you don't think you're strong until you have to be. So what if we could acknowledge our strengths and our capacities and our potencies rather than hide from them, or there's this energy of not being willing to look at them and waiting for struggle or hardship to endure those, to prove to ourselves that we're strong and that we have capacities. There it is. That's the energy. Do you feel that? So everywhere you're using struggle and hardship and pain to show yourself your strengths, when in fact you can actually just open your eyes and look at them and acknowledge them without all that pain, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyonds. You don't need pain to see your beauty. It's not true. You don't need to endure pain to have your beauty and your strength show up. I mean, think about what we talked about earlier with the flower pushing through the concrete. The flower just pushes through the concrete. It doesn't have a point of view. It doesn't endure pain. It doesn't endure suffering. It doesn't endure hardship. It just looks for the path. And it's tenacious, and it does not quit. And it keeps looking towards the light, and it pops up its beauty when it finds a spot. So on that note, let us take a break. And you are listening to Do You Like It Hard? On Messy Adventures in Living. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Do you wait until all the traffic lights are green before you get in your car? Of course you don't. Are you waiting until you have everything perfect to begin living? Most of us have learned not to take any steps until we have all the information to make the right choice. What if the opposite is true? What if it's choice that creates awareness? Are you willing to make lots of messy choices so you can begin to see the possibilities that you didn't even think existed? Listen for Messy Adventures in Living radio show with self-declared messy living expert Petrina Fava every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific on A2Zen.fm. How much more expansive would your life be if you were willing to get messy with your choices?
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living with Petrina Fava. To participate in today's show, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 033-0001-0625. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also ask questions or comment by email by sending to Petrina at petrinafava.com. Now, here's Petrina with more Messy Adventures.
Welcome back to Messy Adventures in Living. I'm your host, Petrina Fava, and you're listening to Do You Like It Hard? We're talking about all the places that we value hardship in this reality and the irony of wishing or asking for ease and having things be easy. And I wish life was easy and I would love to win the lottery and I would love to have this. And you're asking for it and it's not happening. And so what are all the underlying beliefs that you have that you bought that are actually not allowing ease and joy and fun to show up in your world? We left off talking about this idea that we struggle or endure pain so that we can see what our strengths are. So what would it take to acknowledge your capacities so that you didn't have to endure suffering to have proof of them? And how much are you using your suffering to prove to others that you are awesome and that you are valuable in some way? And do you have to prove that to others if you can just acknowledge it in yourself and be it and be your capacities for the world? What else is going on here? Yeah. So maybe we should clear that. So what would it take to acknowledge your capacity so that you didn't have to endure suffering in order to prove to yourself and others that you are valuable? And everything that is and everywhere you're doing that, will you please destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. It's kind of similar to the idea that you have to endure dark times in order to appreciate the good ones. Is that true? Like, can you appreciate the joy of life? Can you appreciate beauty? Can you be grateful for everything that's good in your life without bad times? It's like having bad times is this smack in the head that we get for not being grateful. It's like, here, have a really dark time, and now you will appreciate your life. It's like the whole thing about the guy who has a heart attack, the grumpy old man who has a heart attack and then all of a sudden starts to appreciate his life. I'm thinking of also Ebenezer Scrooge, that whole idea of like, here, look at all the pain and suffering that you've caused. Now go and be grateful. What if you don't need to have darkness in your life in order to see what's beautiful in it? What if that wasn't true? What if you could just look around and acknowledge what's awesome in your life? It's really that easy. You could actually just look around and acknowledge the beauty in your life. You don't have to suffer first. You don't. But you can if you like it hard. Okay, so what are we going to do with all of this stuff? How can we change it? Remember some of the tools we mentioned at the beginning of the show. So every time you have a thought or a feeling, an emotion that is around the value of hardship, you can tell yourself or say, Wow, that's a really interesting point of view. Who does that belong to? Is that point of view even mine? You can also remember that choice creates awareness, not lessons. Remember that all the places you've been led to believe, or that you bought the idea that lessons are valuable, remember that it's actually your choice that creates your life. You don't have to learn lessons in order to have awareness. Your choice is what creates awareness. So stop looking for lessons and stop inviting hard lessons and ask for ease and choose. Get messy. Getting messy doesn't mean your life has to be hard. You can just get messy with your choices and then see what that creates and then choose again and again. You don't need to have lessons. We don't. You can ask the universe to show you ease if you don't even think you know what that is. Universe, show me the energy of ease. If you have the belief that you need to work hard in order to create, you can ask the universe, hey, universe, show me the ease. Show me the energy of ease of creation. Show me how ease and joy creates. You can ask the universe to show you those energies if you feel like you kind of don't even know what that's like, because this whole hardship thing has been so ingrained into your universe. Please remember that a lot of this is also a lot of suffering is part of how we build our identity. So how much have you used your story of suffering to build your identity? Or if you suffered something as a child, again, I think of all the kids that I see who have chronic illnesses and lengthy hospitalizations. Like, has that actually been your story? So did you have some hardship at the beginning of your life, and did that create your story? Are you holding on to it so tightly because you think that that is your identity? And what if it does not have to be? What if you can change that no matter where you are in your life and no matter how old you are? How much of your suffering has become your story and your identity? And would you be willing to let all of that go? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. If you are a teacher or a healer, or even if you're not, do you believe that you have to endure suffering in order to teach somebody about it? I wrote a chapter on bullying, and someone asked me if I'd been bullied, and I said no. And they kind of looked at me like, well, how can you possibly write or talk about bullying if you've never been bullied yourself? And you know what? That's an interesting point of view, that you have to suffer something in order to know about it, because I have a lot of awareness in that area, and I can have awareness without experiencing something myself. So everywhere that you decided that you have to experience things in order to teach people about them, and therefore you're inviting all these wonderful problems into your life so you can know them all, so you can, show people how to change their lives, destroy and uncreate all that, maybe? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. You can actually know stuff without experiencing it, without suffering through things. You can. You don't have to master something. You don't have to experience something in order to master it enough to be a teacher or to show people how to change things. Your being the space and energy of ease actually can create that. I mean, how much do we believe that we have to show our children how to work hard, and then invite them to participate in hard work with us? I would rather invite my children to have ease and show them how to have ease by having ease myself. All right, people, that's a heavy-duty topic, and there's so much more where that came from. Thank you for joining me here on Messy Adventures in Living. What if your life did not have to be hard? Ask for ease and invite it, and lower your barriers and have ease. Enjoy the next week. Join me again next week. Messy Adventures in Living. Have fun.
Thanks for playing with us on Messy Adventures in Living. Petrina Fava will return next Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Mountain, and 6 a.m. Pacific on a2zen.fm. We'd love to have you join us again. Until then, have fun creating your phenomenal life. Mess